we're actually calling this briefing Tackling Education Reform Through Inclusion. And it's my pleasure to welcome you today. We'll be here for about an hour. My name is Barb Trader. I'm the Executive Director of TASH. TASH is one of the proud founding members of the Collaboration to Promote Self-Determination, and I'm really thrilled to see many of the representatives of our 12-member coalition here in the room today. It's my duty to both pretty much set the stage for what we'll cover in the briefing, but also to share with you a little bit about the collaboration and about our speakers. So I'll start with CPSD and what we're all about. CPSD was formed about 4 years ago, and we are led by an executive committee of parent organizations and self-advocacy associations. Those organizations which make up our executive board include the National Down Syndrome Society. I'm glad to see Madeline here. Madeline Will, everybody. And Ricky Sabia is also with NDSC. She's one of our panelists. National Fragile X Foundation is also a co-founder of CPSD, and Serena Lowe is here representing them. The Autism Society is co-founder, and Hannah Carey is here, and the Autistic Self-Advocacy Network. Along with them and their allies, we've framed an aggressive policy framework which calls for federal policies that actually empower adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities to be contributing, productive adults and with full membership in their communities. We want to see a real transformation of comprehensive federal policy which will lead to adult lives that engage people in employment and allow folks to achieve financial self-sufficiency, at least in greater numbers than we're seeing today. Since we know that education is the way to prepare adults, and we know that only 5% of the population that we're talking about today ever achieve any kind of meaningful inclusion in their school communities, we're taking seriously the transformation of schools so that students with intellectual and developmental disabilities are fully included. That means both in their general ed classroom and in the community of a school as a whole. But what we also know when that happens is that adults do lead more productive lives. We also know that the entire school climate and the school body has changed. We are seeing exciting data that when inclusive education is the framework for a school environment, that all kids achieve better social outcomes, but they also achieve better academic outcomes. And we want to share that data with you today, especially as we're discussing ESEA reauthorization. So I'm going to introduce the speakers, and then they'll share with you what our data shows. The first is Carol Quirk. Dr. Quirk is the Executive Director of the Maryland Coalition for Inclusive Education, which is an organization that is focused on systems change so all students are included. Dr. Quirk is also the current board president for TASH. Next will be Dr. Jacqueline Kearns. Dr. Kearns is the principal investigator of the National Alternate Assessment Center at the University of Kentucky. The next is Dr. Wayne Saylor. Dr. Saylor is a professor of special education at the University of Kansas and the associate director of the Beach Center. And we're really excited to let you know that 36 years ago, Dr. Saylor had the vision and the foresight to be one of the co-founders of TASH. And finally, I'd like to introduce Ricky Sabia, who is the Associate Director of the National Policy Center for the National Down Syndrome Society and the co-founder of the UDL Task Force.